a little raised reptile zoo in the city's south end. We find Paul Goulet, who runs this place. I mean, he not only studied zoology, but has been handling snakes and reptiles for decades. He says what happened out on the East Coast is probably the most rarest thing that has ever happened involving humans and snakes. Absolutely unheard of.
It is very, 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 very rare for a snake to confuse a person as being a food source. They do not naturally see people as a source of food. They do not constrict for self-defense. They only constrict for food. This is such an isolated thing for it to happen where one person has been constricted and killed, let alone the situation where there's been two. This is unheard of. This has never happened before.
The pythons are still on display at the zoo, and Paul says he's considered actually taking them off display in respect to the family.
We don't know what's happened. There's limited information. You know, we know that there's been this awful tragedy, and that there's an African rock python that looks like has killed two children, and which is obviously, you know, a terrible situation. And you know, our heart goes out to the family. But we know very, very limited facts in terms of what's happened, and I think as some of these facts start to come out, people will feel a little bit more comfortable with a better understanding of how that situation could happen and how it could have been prevented.
Paul and the staff here are trying to keep this as respectful and dignified and low-key as possible when people tour around the zoo. They're not told specifically that these are the types of snakes that are believed to be responsible for killing two young children in New Brunswick. They're far from it. In fact, he says that these two snakes are among his most favorite in the entire zoo. In Ottawa, Doug Hempstead for Sun News.